Welcome everybody. Today's video finds us about 20 minutes or so outside of the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Ayutthaya. And we're going to take a look at a site that's all part of the old Ayutthaya Kingdom. This is Prasat Nakhon Luang, and this used to be like a summer retreat or a summer palace. And the royals would travel up from Ayutthaya on the Pa Sak River, and this was kind of like a stopping point between here and Lopburi. So the royals would go here and they would stay in this was their summer palace or summer retreat. It was built, I believe, in like 1629 by King Prasat Thong, but it might have been an existing structure that he just enlarged. But anyway, it's got some Khmer influence, and I'll tell you a little bit about it, and let's walk through here and see what we see. I parked over here and I was wanting to go inside of this little hall. This is an Ayutthaya era little ubasot and it's locked up today. Not sure what's going on. But anyway, the main palace is over here. There's a little market and we'll go look at the Wheel of Law. That's an unfinished Wheel of Law. We'll look at it first, then we'll go into the palace. And over here is the little market and stuff. Now this site is free to enter. It's kind of off the beaten path. People don't know about it mostly. The locals come over here, but tourists don't know. That's the palace up there. Now up on the top floor, beneath that little yellow pagoda, is 4 Buddha footprints. Those were put in there under the reign of King Rama I. And it converted this from being like a secular palace to a religious site. And then they also moved in a 300-year-old Ganesh that's up there. We'll take a look at that whole place here. Let's go into this building first. This has the Wheel of Law. We got the replica of the Buddha footprint. Yeah, this hall right here, this is quite cool. We'll look at it now. So they call this the Nakhon Luang. Now they say that this was floating in the Pa Sak River, but there's a lot of, you know, the little stories about Buddha images and stuff like that that were floating in the rivers. So you can take that with a grain of salt if you want. You see they got the styling up there. And this is the Wheel of Law. Now it's unfinished. You can see where they carved it up there. Now these were really popular up till I believe like the 2nd century. They didn't have Buddha images. They used to have these instead. And then after they started making the Buddha images, these kind of have fallen off. But this one is a really old one, and it has some old Buddha images around in here. Yeah, it's quite cool. Some different styles. And then King Rama IX came here to this temple. Yeah, so you can just see a couple of the images up there that were carved. And the Thais have come and stuck gold leaf on them and stuff. And then across the way is more of the temple and parking and stuff like that. That's the Wat Nakhon Luang Riverside Market, and then the parking. And then they have all this stuff for the temple and everything over here. Okay, let's walk into the old palace. All the stuff for making merit. And a cool little, like little boat thing. And it looks like we got a little shrine over here. And the monks giving out the blessings. Now the styling of this has a lot of Khmer influence into it. And the reason why is under King Prasat Thong, they controlled all of Siem Reap, all of that. And he sent people from here to Siem Reap to Angkor Thom to study the architecture. And they came back with these plans. Now, some people say it was Angkor Wat, but they believe it's more based on Bopyeong Temple, which is a beautiful temple there also. So we got some kids over here singing and playing the little xylophone. Yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. So this was all abandoned. The Burmese, whenever they sacked Ayutthaya in 1767, this was all the temples and everything were looted and burned all across Thailand. And this one here met a similar fate. And then it was kind of just overgrown up until the 20th century. And then they came back in here and they started excavating it and restoring it to what you see. So it's made out of brick instead of what the Khmer used with the laterite and the sandstone. And it's got a lot of the Thai fusion mixed in with the Khmer. And you can see how this is. This is the little cloister. So it would have had the walkway, Buddha images all around. And then right here, this would have actually been fountains. That would have been where the water would have came in. So you would have crossed here. There would have been waterfalls and everything all through here. And you could have walked around this little outer little area. You can see the bricks and everything. So they're not sure if this was ever 100% completed. They probably shifted resources away from here, especially when the Burmese were attacking. And then it was, all the resources were also sent over to Thonburi and Bangkok whenever they moved the capital over there. But you can see the faux windows. They call those what, the colonnettes or something like that, I believe. And then you can see also that they would have had the faux columns with like the lotus flowers up on the top. Now it's all the Ayutthaya era styling that you would have seen here that would have been fused in with the Khmer stuff, the prongs on the 4 cardinal directions and all of that. Oh, what a fantastic site this is. I've been here many times. This is one that most people don't know about, but I've been here. The Thais will come over here to pray to the Ganesh, but tourists just don't know about it, which is a shame. I guess it's kind of off the island, a little bit harder to get to, but if you hired out a van or something like that, this would definitely be worth your time to come over here and see this old royal palace. You can see how they did the bricks and everything, but how cool is that? Oh, it's just unbelievably nice. And they would have had water all through here. So this would have been like an island. And then you can see the other buildings up there. Yeah, what I want to do is I want to come around over here. There's the coolest scene that all the Thais come over to take pictures of. So those are kind of the little prongs that you would have seen the Khmer style. But with Ayutthaya, they did like the faux pediments and everything. They had similar style, but they didn't put all the, like the Naga and all of that up there. You can see little sandstone Buddha images that are all through here. Yeah, this would have been the gallery. They would have been all facing the center. And then this one here, the top is missing off the corner gate. Yeah, this one right here. This is where everybody comes over to get pictures because there's a Buddha image sitting right here, and then it's missing the top of the little tower. Yeah, that's what everybody wants to see right there. Okay, so let's go up to the next level and we'll eventually make our way up to the top of the castle. Yeah, all this would have been water right in here. Oh, this would have been really, really something else. So under the reign of King Prasat Thong, Ayutthaya was just fantastically wealthy. He expanded the kingdom, trade routes, everything else. So they had a lot of money and resources to spend on things like this. I think there's a total of 5 palaces that are off the city island. King Narai built one that's outside of Lopburi to the north, and then he also had the second capital in Lopburi, and another palace was there. Oh, we got some of the little ceiling tiles that are right here. You see how they have that little hook right there to interlock. And then there's another one kind of out in Ong Tong, and then another palace in Bang Pa Inn. Yeah, this is a nice little tower here. So you see the lotus bud archway across the top, and then wood up in the top there. And then they have a couple Buddha images. So they have the legs that are painted red. These are Ayutthaya style images. And then another set of stairs to go up. And you see more of the walkway. And this little cloister here, there would have been water. You can see the little gate where the water would have came out. And then they have this up here that's whitewashed and stucco. So the whole thing would have been this color back whenever it was first built. Yeah, pretty cool. It has like little balconies and porches, and then the little chetties all around. Okay, let's go up into the center part now, and we'll see the Ganesh and the Buddha footprints. Okay, so this is the center part. So it has the gallery here also with all the Buddha images around, and then it has the Ganesh and the Buddha footprints inside of there. And there's some really cool images all through here. You can see how they're all just here, and then they'll have small little alcoves with more images. Like right in here, here's another one. You could just kind of walk around and stick your head in them. And you see how they are just here. That one there's missing the top knot and stuff like that. Okay, let's look at the Ganesh. We got everybody lined up here to pray to the Ganesh. They ring the bell and stuff like that. So this image here is 300 years old. And inside here is the Buddha footprint. So what it is it's 4 footprints in one. So you have the big one here, you have a smaller Buddha footprint here, and then a third one right there with the smallest one right inside of it. Now this was actually important because they would stop here, and the royals would on their way up to Lopburi and then up to Saraburi, where the naturally occurring Buddha footprint is. So this is a replica, and I think it's the largest replica in Thailand. And you see the Buddha images in here and more all around. We got a monk that's drawing some things on those gals' hands. Yeah, so he's doing some little patterns, and then you make a donation to the temple. Yeah, this is quite cool in here. Yeah, there's a prayer that the Thais do about the 5 footprints where Buddha walked. They have a whole prayer that they do for the people that are in the Buddha footprint cult. They worship those the same as the Buddha images. Okay, so we got a Pa Lilai pose here, and then we'll go back out. So that's pretty much the whole palace here. And there's just tons of little details to see when you come here. Yeah, I like the contrast of this yellow with the white. So in the late 1700s is when they installed the Buddha footprint here, and that converted this into more of a religious space. But how cool is this? So if you could imagine, after this was abandoned, there would have been trees all growing through here. So it took quite an undertaking to get this restored into the condition that you see now. Yeah, this is definitely something to come over here and check out if you're in Ayutthaya province. Yeah, and you can see this is looking back down. So the different tiers, and this would have all been covered with this little water fountain in here. And I really like how the stairwells, the handrails were built. Oh, it would have been fantastic. Well, that'll finish up our video over here at this Prasat Nakhon Luang. This is really cool. This is the castle palace. Definitely lives up to its name. This is about 20 minutes or so outside of Ayutthaya proper. If you had some extra time after exploring the temples and stuff like that, I would definitely say come over here and check this out. It's quite a bit different, so if you get a little bit of the temple fatigue after looking at all the ruins, you could come over here and see this. The styling is quite a bit different and would kind of pique your interest. It's really interesting, you know, it dates back to the 1600s. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, you can subscribe and you get to see more content like this. If you have any questions or comments, or if you've been here before, let me know also. I'd like to hear what your thoughts were, and I would appreciate any extra information because I do like reading about stuff like this. So until next time, from over here in Ayutthaya, remember, life is a journey. Until next time, enjoy.